Sigourney Weaver made her film debut, appearing as a walk-on in Woody Allen's Annie Hall in 1977, but it was through her stage work that she caught the attention of actor Warren Beatty, who then recommended her to Ridley Scott, the director of Alien. She was the lead in that successful franchise that would go on to include 4 films. Then she accepted the supporting role in Ghostbusters, which was also a huge hit, and she continued reprising that character in the Ghostbusters sequels as well. Weaver also had big roles in the movies Working Girl, Gorillas in the Mist, Galaxy Quest, and most recently the Avatar franchise. With a career spanning over 50 years, she has captivated audiences with her beauty, while also being considered one of the most gifted and versatile actresses on stage and screen. So here are some things you may not have known about the talented Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver hasn't always gone by the name Sigourney. She was actually born as Susan Alexandra Weaver, but at the age of 13, she began using Sigourney, a name she plucked from a great American novel. She stumbled across the unique name one night while reading F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic, The Great Gatsby. One of the supporting characters in that book is the protagonist's aunt, Sigourney Howard. Weaver first used this as her stage name beginning in 1963. Sigourney Weaver's uncle was Winstead Weaver, who went by the stage name Doodles. As you can probably imagine, Doodles was a comedian, as well as a prolific character actor and musician. He was a popular figure on radio programs in the 1940s, and then began appearing on a variety of TV shows during the 1950s and 1960s. With all of his success, however, he met a pretty tragic end. Doodles Weaver was in very poor health as he entered his 70s, and he ended up taking his own life in 1983. Many celebrities speak at least one other language, but Sigourney is a talented linguist. Not only is she fluent in English, but she also speaks French and German. It's unclear where her passion for languages comes from, although it allows her to travel the world more freely, especially to French and German-speaking countries. Sigourney Weaver already had her foot in the Hollywood door from a young age, as her parents were both well known in the entertainment industry. Her father, Pat Weaver, was the president of NBC for 2 years in the 1950s, and interestingly, he was partly responsible for creating both The Today Show and The Tonight Show, which popularized the talk show format, which still persists today. Her mother, Elizabeth, was a British actress before moving to Hollywood, and her best-known role was in the 1940 crime film The Letter, which also starred Bette Davis. Sigourney's first on-screen role in a feature film was in Woody Allen's Annie Hall in 1977, where she briefly appears toward the end as the unnamed date of Allen's character Alvy. For her role, she was paid just $50, a far cry from the huge figures she reaches nowadays. Her salary for Aliens was a whopping $1 million, plus she got a share of the film's profits. Despite her measly pay for Annie Hall, to this day she says she's proud of her involvement in the film, which won several Oscars, including Best Picture. At the young age of 11, Sigourney stood at over 5'10", and now the actress is 6 feet tall. She was also picked on in school because of her height, and during her childhood, she lacked confidence. Looking back at her childhood, the actress says she remembers feeling awkward, gangly, and self-conscious about her height. It also had an impact on the roles she would take, although it presented more interesting parts that she saw as more of a challenge. Sigourney Weaver has had a long history with Meryl Streep, as they both attended Yale University and were both involved in the drama department. Unfortunately for Sigourney, while acting at Yale, Streep often landed the bigger roles, while Sigourney was given smaller, less rounded parts to play. Her dedication and commitment paid off, though. Just 4 years after graduating from Yale, she was cast as Ellen Ripley in Alien. Nowadays, both women have successful careers in their own right, and remain 2 of the biggest names in Hollywood. Sigourney may have had to witness an alien bursting its way out of John Hurt's stomach, but it wasn't the alien which gave her sleepless nights. In 2004, she co-starred in the psychological horror film The Village, about a village of people isolated by the fear of what lurked in the woods surrounding their Amish-style community. After reading the screenplay for the first time, she experienced disturbing nightmares for weeks. She acknowledged that it was strange how the village had such a profound impact on her psyche. The film about isolation and fear went on to achieve impressive financial success, with Sigourney delivering a stellar performance in her role as Alice Hunt. Alien director Ridley Scott insisted that Sigourney do all of her own stunts in the films, and the tireless actress gladly rose to the challenge. She was faced with harsh filming conditions, and reported being freezing while filming in a flimsy t-shirt in the middle of winter. There was also an unforgettable scene in Alien Resurrection, where Ellen Ripley walks away from a basketball net, tosses the ball over her shoulder, and it goes perfectly through the net. Sigourney Weaver managed to succeed in pulling off all of her own stunts in the franchise. The 1970s were a crazy time for the actress, and for a portion of the decade, Sigourney lived in a treehouse with her then-boyfriend in California. She was a hippie by nature, and it also led to her playing flute duets with the same boyfriend, as well as spending time in homemade elf costumes, which she would wear on campus while attending Stanford University. While this behavior may seem strange to outsiders, perhaps her nonconformity is what makes her such a dazzling actress. In 1987, while filming Gorillas in the Mist in Rwanda, East Africa, a foul-tempered silverback gorilla ran up to Sigourney and shoved her onto her back. She was terrified, but wisely remained calm and waited for the gorilla to leave her alone. Eventually, the animal backed off to her relief. A member of the Dian Fossey Institute, who was assisting with the film, then joked that Weaver had joined the very exclusive club of people who've been hit by a silverback gorilla. Sigourney Weaver's career has seen her fight off terrifying parasitic aliens, and even grapple with demonic, supernatural spirits. None of this seems to faze her, but there are some things she is scared of, and those are elevators and earthquakes. The fear of elevators developed because she claims to have been trapped in them a few times throughout her life. When she has no other option but to use an elevator, she double checks when it was last inspected before stepping foot inside. And she also chooses to reside in New York City because she refuses to live in California for fear of earthquakes. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and maybe even consider supporting the channel over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist. While you're at it, hit subscribe and share Recollection Road Entertainment with someone you know. As always, thank you so much for watching.